Hey, what are you guys doing over there? Hey, biggin. What are you doing? There's great mystery surrounding Devil's Tower and how it was formed. The simplest explanation is that Devil's Tower is a stock, a small intrusive body formed by magma which cooled underground and was later exposed by erosion. The reason Devil's Tower is a sacred place is because it's where Sweet Medicine died, and it's his final earthly resting place. Sweet Medicine is the great cultural hero of the Cheyenne who brought the 4 sacred arrows to the tribe. On September 24, 1906, President Theodore Roosevelt declared the Devil's Tower as the United States' first national monument. It did, however, take quite some time before it became a national park. Several different indigenous tribes referred to it by different names. Some called it Mythic Owl Mountain, others Ghost Mountain, and still others Greyhorn Butte. Gutzon Borglum, born John Gutzon de la Moth Borglum on March 25, 1867, is perhaps best known in the United States as the man who carved Mount Rushmore. On a plaque commemorating him, it says, "At last he carved a mountain for a monument. He made the monument chant, quote, 'Remember, these giant souls set America free and kept her free. Hold fast your sacred heritage, Americans. Remember, remember,' end quote." The first actual carving began in 1927, and he carved 4 heads. Most people will know that Washington, Jefferson, Lincoln, and Teddy Roosevelt are carved. And the reason that he chose them is very specific, and I'm going to go into more detail in just a bit. But on his plaque again, I wanted to quote, Borglum said, "I want somewhere in America a memory of the great things we accomplished as a nation, placed so high that it won't pay to pull it down for lesser purposes." And that's very appropriate for today, because there's so many things that are being torn down and forgotten, if you will, as far as history is concerned, based on what we would consider as a woke society. This one, it would take a considerable amount of time and effort to pull down, for whatever reason. George Washington, our first president, born 1732 and died 1799. The primary reason that Borglum chose George Washington, of course, was because he led the colonists in the American Revolutionary War. He's basically known as the father of our country. Because of this, he is the most prominent figure on the mountain and represents the birth of the United States. Thomas Jefferson, born 1743, died 1826, was the 3rd president of the United States, and he's primarily chosen because, well, of course, he's the primary author of the Declaration of Independence, a document which inspired democracies around the world, but he also purchased Louisiana Territory from France in 1803, and, of course, the famous expedition, the Lewis and Clark expedition, followed. And so he is representing the United States as adding all or part of 15 present-day states, more than doubling the size of the United States in 1803. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, was born 1809, died 1865. Lincoln held the nation together during its greatest trial, the Civil War. Lincoln believed his most sacred duty was the preservation of the Union. It was his firm conviction that slavery must be abolished. In fact, he's quoted, "I leave you hoping that the lamp of liberty will burn in your bosoms until there shall no longer be a doubt that all men are created free and equal." End quote. Gutzon Borglum chose Lincoln to represent the preservation of the United States. Theodore Roosevelt, the 26th President of the United States, was born 1858, died 1919. Not only was he instrumental in negotiating the construction of the Panama Canal linking the East and the West, but he is also known for his conservationist movements. After becoming president in 1901, Roosevelt used his authority to establish 150 national forests, 51 federal bird reserves, 4 national game preserves, 5 national parks, and 18 national monuments on over 230 million acres of public land. Borglum died in March of 1941, just about the point that the project was nearly complete. Mount Rushmore was completed by his son Lincoln, with the final drilling done October 31st, 1941.
Kind of hard to see, but you can see how shiny the rock is. And I mean, that is granite. That's basically the same rock that Mount Rushmore was carved from. And in the sun, you can almost see a glare.
George Washington's profile is so perfectly placed that you might assume that the sculptor planned this, but ultimately he had planned on putting Thomas Jefferson to Washington's right, but the poor quality of rock forced him to demolish that, and that is why you have such a great profile of Washington from this angle. Crazy Horse, perhaps most well known for his battle against Custer in the Battle of Little Bighorn in Montana, is depicted here as pointing his finger towards his native land. This sculpture was originally envisioned by his cousin, Standing Bear. The work began in 1948 and is still ongoing even to today.
Jumping from cliffs so high, trusting our wings to fly. Sometimes we're crashing down, but we get up and start from the ground. And I really wanna know, if I'll ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down.
All the best, always.
Wanna come down to the underground old school? Here's a shovel, can you dig it, fool? Can you dig it?